Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Geoffrey Dunn. On behalf of my colleagues, may I welcome you to the 174th Annual General Meeting of the Saffron Building Society, which I now declare open. As you can see, we're conducting this year's AGM on a virtual basis with some presentations, but with the ability to vote on the resolutions and an opportunity to submit your questions at a specific point. Our intention is to follow the AGM format, the normal AGM format. However, in a break with the past, we will make all the presentations available on our website, as we believe it may be more convenient for some members to view the AGM at the time of their choosing. Firstly, I will present the Chair's report, including an update on the changes being made on the board. Colin will then take you through the key elements of the year in his CEO report. After that, I will formally propose the resolutions, after which we will address questions that members have submitted in advance. Following this, we will answer any additional questions that have been received during the AGM. Questions can be submitted at any time during the meeting. If you'd like to submit a question, please go to the Q&A tab on the menu bar at the top of your screen. You can also submit general questions or technical queries under the Messages section. And if you have any questions after the meeting, you can contact us at agm@saffronbs.co.uk. Full instructions can now be seen on the panel to the left of your screen, and you'll find all the relevant documents, including the AGM notice and the annual report and accounts, in the Documents tab at the top of your screen. We will then open voting on the resolutions. You do not need to submit your vote online if you have already submitted your voting instructions ahead of the meeting using a proxy voting form. However, should you now wish to change any voting instructions you have already submitted before the meeting, you should cast your revised vote during the meeting. I can confirm that in attendance with the Society's rules, this meeting is quorate, with a minimum of 10 members in attendance, each of whom is entitled to vote. I can also confirm that all bar one of the directors are in attendance, either here in the room with me or virtually. Here in the room are Colin Smith, Chief Executive, John Pemberthy Smith, our Chief Commercial Officer, Maurice Mills, our Chief Financial Officer, together with a number of other colleagues. The non-executive directors in attendance are Robin Litton, Chair of the Audit Committee, David Rendell, Chair of the Risk Committee, Caroline Cartiglieri, Chair of the Nominations Committee, and Jazz Sagu. Our audit partner, Ariel Grossberg from BDO, is also in attendance virtually. As I said earlier, we will follow the normal agenda with an opportunity for questions later, and then there will be the formal voting on the resolutions placed before you. If there are any questions that we are not able to get to today, they will be responded to directly following the AGM, and the answers provided on our website alongside the AGM recording. For reasons I will come to, there are apologies from Jenny Ashmore, our Chair of the Remuneration Committee, Vice Chair and Senior Independent Director. So, on behalf of the board, I'd like you to welcome you to our 174th AGM. Last year, we attempted a different form of virtual AGM, and the feedback from members was mixed. This year, we've tried to do a virtual AGM once again, as we're aware it is not convenient for many members to attend an AGM in person in the middle of a working week. I hope that you will be happy with our virtual form of AGM, which of course is an online meeting, but with live interaction and questions possible. As interim chair, and only appointed just over 6 weeks ago, I had to make a very quick decision about the form of this year's AGM, given the practical possibilities open to us. So I decided to make the AGM virtual and to make the proceedings available on our website subsequently. This approach makes it possible for members who wish to attend in real time and ask questions and vote on the day to do so, and for other members to review the AGM at a time convenient to them. Please give us your active feedback on this approach, either by email or by letter or on the website, on this or on anything else, so we can continue to improve and meet the requirements of you, our members. At last year's AGM, we commented on changes on working practices caused by the pandemic and how it has accelerated a move to hybrid working practices everywhere. This past year, we've also seen the extended impact of higher inflation on both energy and food prices and many other goods and services, and the serious impact that's had on all of us and on the economy generally. The Bank of England base rate had already risen sharply by the end of last year and continued to rise in 2024, moving from 3.5% to 5.25% as the MPC implemented a sustained policy to bring inflation back under control. Retail interest rates also continued to rise, and this was reflected at the Society, with our blended rate moving from 2.56% at the end of 2022 to 3.89% at the end of 2023, an increase of 1.33 percentage points. This has provided a welcome increase in return to our savings members, but for our mortgage customers, the increase in the rate environment and the borrowing costs has added further challenge to their living costs. Despite this increase, we have not seen a material increase in our arrears, which is a testament to the stress testing that was carried out at the point of the underwriting of the mortgage and the manner in which our borrowing members have been able to adapt to the changed financial conditions. Looking ahead, it appears that the recent inflation may have peaked and is now returning to more normal levels. Markets are also anticipating that interest rates will ease as a result. And whilst this is the pervasive view, given the heightened level of geopolitical risk, it's by no means certain that this will play out. The future continues to look highly uncertain. I am, however, pleased to say that your building society remains in a very good position, whatever the external market conditions prove to be. As was reported to you last year, 2021 and 2022 were record financial performances for the Society in its 174-year history. 2023 was another very solid performance, but in more difficult and more challenging market conditions. For some years now, we've had the strategic objective to build profitability and to grow our capital base. And everyone in the Society has pulled together to make this happen. Profit before tax was 7.7 million in 2023, whilst profit after tax was 5.9 million. These numbers are lower than the 2022 result, primarily due to movements in fair value, whilst the underlying profitability was similar year on year. Continued profitability allowed the Society to continue to build its capital, and we have now achieved our 15% target for CET1 capital. Building up our capital helps us to support loan growth and enhance the strength, security and capability of the society, which is for the benefit of all stakeholders. New lending in 2023 was over £265 million, and we ended the year with more than £1.1 billion of loans to customers. Of course, there will always be more to do, but your society remains in good shape to face whatever the emerging economic and global political challenges will be for the society. Our financial performance is important, but it's only part of the story. I'm delighted to say your society continues to have excellent scores for customer satisfaction and colleague engagement. We do not get everything right all the time, but we relentlessly measure our customer satisfaction scores, and we hope to be quick to acknowledge any mistakes we make and to act fast to remedy them. The society has significantly developed all aspects of its lending capability, ranging from product development, new business development, underwriting, and service and support over recent years. This, coupled with the strength and resilience of our technology platform, have been key factors that have enabled the society to return to growth in both lending and capital strength. The service we have provided to savings members has always been strong, but the foundations have been enhanced, which has been recognised by our members and the broader financial industry. We've received several industry awards again during 2023, and that's a testament to the hard work put in by all of my colleagues over the last decade. Your society has achieved this through a continuing focus on improvement. It's consistently sought to improve its capabilities, attracting and developing talented people whilst never losing sight of its purpose, to improve the financial well-being of its members. Something we now talk about as being money happiness. The role of a mutual society is going to have to evolve in the future. And it's an exciting time for the society and the board to develop what will look like for the Saffron Building Society. Although our lifestyles have changed a lot since the society was founded, many of the problems that motivated the birth of the mutual sector still remain. Today, young people still struggle to afford their own homes. People of all ages must adapt and plan their finances to address a more complex and varied working life, with a concept of retirement that is very, very different to that which was considered the norm just 2 generations ago. After all, I thought I'd completely retired until February. There's no quick fix for the challenges of home ownership for the young and retirement planning for the rest of us. Although, personally, I do believe that recent governments have been lamentably poor in cultivating the necessary conditions to permit and encourage sufficient new quality homes to be built. At some point, we have to recognise that our failure as a nation to provide similar opportunities to get on the housing ladder, as many of us have enjoyed, will lead to societal discord. It cannot be fair that only the offspring of the bank of mum and dad will be able to climb onto that ladder. It remains our strategic objective to help all current and future members to achieve their financial goals. In past AGMs, we've talked about the continuing process of renewal on the board. This year, the biggest change has been the resignation of your previous chair, Barbara Anderson. Barbara was approached about a significant listed company appointment, and she very sensibly realised that the time commitment required for that role and her continued role as the chair of Saffron were incompatible, and so she offered the society her resignation. At the invitation of the board, I agreed to resume the role of interim chair, but only on the basis that I would aim to conclude my task and to return to retirement well before the end of 2024. So please relax, you won't see me again here. I'd like to acknowledge now and thank one director who will be leaving the board of the Society shortly after the AGM, Jenny Ashmore. Jenny has given outstanding service and loyalty to Saffron, dating back almost a decade, most recently as Vice Chair and Senior Independent Director. She cannot be with us today as she's recently suffered the bereavement of a very close family member. Jenny has agreed to work alongside me for the next few months until the new chair is appointed, and so Jenny's re-election as a director is being proposed today as well. We recognise that the board of a mutual like Saffron needs constant renewal with new minds, new ideas, new approaches to solving problems. So we're also starting the search for 2 new non-executive directors. This will help ensure there is a good succession plan in place with no sudden loss of knowledge or expertise. The search for the new chair, is already well underway, and we're very hopeful that a strong appointment can be made to the board by the board before this autumn. I'm now going to pass over to Colin, who's going to go through the detail of the Society's performance in 2023. Colin.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm delighted that the Society has once again delivered a strong year of growth, with our mortgage assets increasing by over 8%, savings balances by nearly 20%, and supported by an increase in membership of 7%. And whilst it's great to see the growth in balances, it's far more satisfying to see the growth in the impact that the Society has. We serve 2 fundamental purposes. Firstly, to provide a safe home for members' money, and over the year we have offered highly competitive rates that encourage more people to save with the Society. And our second goal is to provide money to support people to purchase homes, and once again we've increased our impact in this area. The growth in the Society has supported another strong year of profitability, and whilst headline profits are materially lower than recorded in 2022, the underlying profitability, where we strip out the movements in accounting fair value, are broadly the same year on year. And this has meant that the Society has been able to increase its level of core equity tier 1 capital to 15%. And what this means is that the Society will be able to invest and grow with confidence over years to come. When people ask me what the main benefits are of working at a mutual, the main one I highlight is that the profit really is for purpose. And I want to share with you the purposes to which we intend to put the profit. It's our belief that the impact of the Society should extend beyond its primary purpose, and our purpose should extend further to have a meaningful impact on colleagues, community, and the wider environment. Profit is vital. It supports our growth. And whilst growth is not an aim in itself, it does enable the Society to adapt to levels of inflation higher than which we have recently become accustomed to, and also levels of margin which are likely to be lower over the next few years. Secondly, the profit translates into capital reserves. And aside from supporting growth, it's our understanding that the capital requirements for all firms will increase once the PRA announces how it will implement the new Basel rules. But most important, profits enable us to continue to invest to improve in functionality and access for members. During 2023, we completed a major upgrade to our core banking systems, which will ensure that we're resilient into the future. We also updated our telephony and our mobile app, which now provides much better functionality for members. We completed the refurbishment of 7 of our 8 branches during the year, and we've exciting plans for the redevelopment of our Ware branch, which would be completed during 2024. We are also working to deliver our plans to ensure the society remains relevant to the needs of savers, borrowers and the broader community, developing our products and propositions and the capabilities we have at the society that will support us into the long term. We've also continued to develop our community impact. During 2023, the Community Fund provided grants of over £76,000 to local charities and community groups. Our community link was used for over 1,500 hours by local groups, free of charge. And to put that in context, that's about 200 working days of use in the year. And with a new initiative, colleagues volunteered over 700 hours of their time, and we're looking to enhance this volunteering in the future. For 2024, we are partnering with My Bank to help vulnerable young people in Essex to prepare for adult life as they leave care. We hope, as with all our community projects, that we can make a lasting and sustainable difference to the lives of these people. I also appreciate I've been talking for some time without mentioning the role of my colleagues, who are vital to making service stand out to members. Since the pandemic, we've seen some profound changes to the nature of work in the workplace, and the importance of being able to offer a rewarding and flexible work offering is more vital than ever before. Once more, we have supported colleagues through the increases that they've seen in their living costs, with increases to salary of at least 5%. We continue to assess how we can develop our flexible working, whilst also being conscious of the need for collaborative and co-located working where necessary. And I believe the actions we are taking are working well, resulting in great colleague engagement, strong member satisfaction, and external recognition and rewards. So, having talked about 2023, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the current year we're in. Interest rates have now stabilised at a higher level than we've seen for many years, with the Bank of England base rate remaining at 5.25% since August of last year. And in this new normal rate environment, we are seeing significant competition for mortgages as lenders are looking to achieve volume targets for the year. And we're also seeing strong competition for savings balances, fuelled in part by withdrawal of the Bank of England TFSME scheme in 2025. The result of this competition is good news for savers, with interest rates finally that are higher than inflation, and it's also better news for borrowers who've been managing their money through the cost of living crisis that we've all experienced over the last couple of years. Fierce competition for business, combined with the roll-off of our historic interest rate swaps, means that we are forecasting profitability for both 2024 and 2025 to be at a lower level than we have experienced in the last few years. Market sentiment, as the Chair mentioned, is that interest rates are likely to reduce over the next 18 months. And we are planning for that scenario, as well as also being mindful that the broader geopolitical climate is such that, just like inflation, this direction of travel is not assured. Business often flows in cycles, and just as we have seen a period of financial tailwinds, we are now seeing headwinds once again. I can provide you with an assurance that we have factored this into our plans, and we will continue to provide value for members, investment for our future, and support our colleagues and community partners in the coming years. I also want to make you aware of Members' Month that we'll be holding in June. We're going to be holding events again around our branches where you'll be able to meet with members of the board and other colleagues, and we're also going to be holding a members' tea party with another very special guest. Finally, I want to thank you, our members, and my colleagues for the support that you continue to show for your society.
Thanks, Colin. Now, before we turn to the question and answer section of the meeting, I will briefly run through the business of the remainder of the AGM, namely to consider the resolutions which are set out in the notice of meeting and which are included with your proxy voting forms. As the chair of the meeting, I will take the notice of meeting as read, and we will now formally propose the resolutions. Members will be able to submit their questions once the resolutions have been proposed, with voting on the resolutions to follow the question and answer session. I'll be calling for a poll on each resolution, allowing all votes to be counted by our independent scrutineers, Civica. and the results of the vote will be published tomorrow once they've been verified by Civica. So I now propose that we move to the first resolution, which is to receive the annual accounts. On behalf of the board, I propose the following resolution. To receive the director's report, the annual accounts, the annual business statement, and the auditor's report thereon for the year ending 31st December 2023. The resolution is an ordinary resolution requiring a simple majority. Your board recommends that you vote for this resolution. The second resolution is to reappoint the auditors. On behalf of the board, I now propose the following resolution. To reappoint BDO LLP as auditors until the conclusion of the next annual general meeting. The resolution is an ordinary resolution requiring a simple majority. Your board recommends that you vote for this resolution. The third resolution is to approve the director's remuneration report. On behalf of the board, I propose the following resolution. To approve the director's remuneration report ending 31st December 2023. This resolution is an ordinary resolution requiring a simple majority. Your board recommends that you vote for this resolution. We now come to the election and re-election of directors. Caroline Cartilieri was appointed to the board last September and Maurice Mills last July. I was appointed to the board in February this year. We are all standing for election at this year's AGM. All the other directors are standing for re-election. Details of each director standing for election and re-election can be found in the Notice of Annual General Meeting 2024, which you have seen in your voting pack or on the voting site. I can confirm that a formal performance evaluation of each of the directors evaluated and seeking re-election or election continues to be effective and demonstrates a strong commitment to the role. As I am one of those directors seeking election this year, I will propose the election and re-election of each of the other directors, and then hand over to our CEO, Colin, to propose the resolution in relation to my own election. On behalf of the board, I now propose the following as a separate resolution in respect of each candidate as set out in the notice of meeting. To consider, and if thought fit, elect Caroline Beate Cartilieri Carlson and Maurice Leighton Mills as directors of the Society. And to consider, and if thought fit, re-elect Jennifer Ann Ashmore, Colin Howard Field, John William Penberthy Smith, Jasvinder Singh Sagu, David Richard Rendell, and Robin Stephen Patrick Litton as directors of the Society. Your board recommends that you vote for the election or re-election of each of the directors. I now hand over to Colin.
Thank you, Jeff. I can confirm that the board believes that the chair continues to perform effectively as a director and chair of the Society, and on behalf of the board, I propose the following resolution in respect of which your board recommends you vote for. To consider, and if thought fit, elect Geoffrey Richard Dunn as a director of the Society.
Thank you, Colin. Now that we've proposed the resolutions, we shall move on to the question and answer segment of the meeting. We invited you, our members, to submit questions to the board prior to this meeting, and we will answer those now. Those joining us today who have a question that they would like to ask, please use the question box online to submit your question now. We will advise you when this section will close. We take all your questions seriously. However, for security and privacy reasons, we're unable to answer questions that relate to personal details or to accounts. Where we're unable to answer a question in this public meeting, a member of the Society's staff will contact you directly after the meeting to provide an answer or offer you assistance where necessary or appropriate. I'm pleased to say we've had a number of questions prior to the meeting, and we've grouped some answers together where there were similar themes in order to provide you with the answers in the most efficient manner. Colin, I'm going to hand over to you for the section.
Yes, so we had a question from Mr. Barlex talking about passbooks. He's very unhappy that society has dispensed with passbooks for bond products or certificates, which are flimsy, easy loss and damaged. And he made the comment that some societies are reverting back to the use of books instead of using certificates, bringing to mind another couple of societies he's mentioned. So I think he wants us to replace the certificates with a passbook. We've looked into this. We've got no plans to actually remove passbooks in general. And what I can confirm is if we have members who want to have a passbook rather than a certificate, then absolutely we can provide them. So, hopefully that will please you, Mr. Barlex, as well. The second question is talking about, from Mr. Fisher, looking at mutuality and mergers. He's referring to Maurice's views on mutuality and how interesting that was, and comments on, you'll have seen the Nationwide Building Society looking to take over Virgin Money, and they haven't consulted with members. So the question he has for us is, what action are we taking to make sure that we do advise members of such things? And we've looked at that, and it's one of these cases where Nationwide Board are deciding how they want to engage with their members. The actual rules themselves relate to an Act of Parliament, and for Nationwide, their individual board has decided not to consult. So, I don't know any more details about that, I'm afraid. The third question we've got is talking about climate change, and it's from Mr. El Drago. He wants to thank us for the work that we are doing in terms of tackling climate change. For example, we have an EnviroSaver product, and we've also got retrofit mortgages, and indeed we're looking into other things as well. But he also relates to our clearing bank, which is Barclays, and he was wondering, asking the board if there are any plans of moved away from Barclays in terms of using other banks. And, he relates to a number of things, that Barclays have done, both present and historically, but in particular their support of businesses that engage with fossil fuels. We've looked at that. It's very good that you recognise the progress we've made as a society, and we do note the concern about Barclays. And they do provide a large amount of funding to fossil fuel industries. We don't currently have plans in place, but one of the things that we are looking at is actually how we could transfer clearing banks in the future as we look at our technology stack. So that is something that we are going to have on watch over a period of time, and I'd be more than happy to talk about that further with you as well. Okay. If I now hand over to you.
Yes. Now, the final question relates to the former chairman, and two members have submitted a question here, and I'll read out that essentially they were surprised to read in the footnote to the REMCO report that states that Barbara Anderson did not meet the Society's director qualification and requirements due to administrative oversight, and the member is worried that good governance is core to an organisation like ours. He accepts that administrative mistakes may happen. What worries him is that the lack of, or him or her, the lack of transparency, and without further explanation is wonder what's happening. Somebody else has also read that Barbara's been offered another chair role to start in the future, so that member thinks that she may have simply found another chair role somewhere else and was moving on. they ask, can you reassure me and other members about what happened here governance-wise, what lessons have been learned? Well, first of all, thank you for the question. It's worthy of answer. The Society has and still always has and has good, strong governance in place and adheres to the Corporate Governance Code. The recruitment of the previous chair involved a specialist independent recruitment company, multiple interviews and background screening, all of which were successfully completed before the chair was onboarded. The qualification referred to in regard to the requirement for the chair to be a member of the Society, which she could not fulfil at the relevant time, was due to some particular personal circumstances. It was not a question of competency or a competency qualification. At the same time, the previous chair's portfolio career was developing in a way that meant she wanted to focus on other roles, including a new chair role. The other question that was asked was why the Society paid somebody who wasn't technically a director a fee. Well, the simple answer was she was paid for her employment and for her service with the company in line with their contractual terms agreed at the time she was appointed. We want to thank Barbara for her strategic focus and the energy she gave the Society during her time with Saffron. I'm here, unfortunately for you, as the interim chair, but I'll be gone very shortly, I promise you. In the meantime, Saffron continues to be very sound. The management team are running it really well. The board are very focused, and you will not notice a beat between now and the arrival of a new chairman. The board has reviewed the whole matter fully, and I'm confident that appropriate steps are in place to improve the future chair recruitment and also future NED appointments. I hope that answers the question regarding Barbara's resignation. Now, at this point, we're going to turn to some questions that have been submitted during the meeting. We'll try and answer those now. And if there are several questions which are all around the same theme, we'll try and wrap them into one. And I can see on the screen in front of me that we have 5 questions, I think. It seems to be increasing. 5 questions, all from the same member, all relating to the same issue, which is concerning the will writing company and Phillips Trust. And so, Colin, I'm going to ask you if you'd like to respond to them.
Yes, I will do. And there are some elements of the questions which actually relate to a personal case. What I can confirm to that member is I will meet outside of this meeting and we can go through this. So I won't relate directly to that one now, but I'll try and cover off the other ones that you raise. Many people watching this probably may be aware, some will not be aware, but this is a matter that received a lot of attention recently regarding Phillips Trust Corporation. We are deeply saddened by what's happened to customers of the Phillips Trust Corporation and the significant impact it's having on a few current members and former members and their families. Saffron Building Society has never had any relationship with Phillips Trust. Between 2013 and 2018, we introduced some of our members to a separate firm, the Estate Planning Group. You know, the Estate Planning Group had been operating for many years prior to us beginning referrals, and we felt it could be useful for some members to be aware of their options for later life planning. The will writing company was part of the Estate Planning Group, which from 2010 also incorporated the Family Trust Corporation. And customers of the will writing company had the option to select the Family Trust Corporation to act as trustee for their assets. We did receive commission for referring on some customers to the Estate Planning Group, but if members want to know about that, we can talk about that if they approach us, and we can provide that information to them. Any advice given by the will writing company or the Family Trust Corporation was completely independent of the society, and it wasn't shared with us. The Estates Planning Group went into administration in 2018, and we believe that Phillips Trust, or parties instructed by it, wrote directly to those customers to inform them of this change. Saffron wasn't involved in the transfer of trustee, any agreements customers entered into with Phillips Trust, or any decisions taken by Phillips Trust. After Phillips Trust became the trustee of some of the trusts in 2018, we understand that some trusts had assets moved from capital guaranteed investment funds, where it was originally invested, into higher risk investments. Subsequently, some of its customers reported difficulties contacting the company, and during this time, the customers began to encounter significant difficulties accessing the assets held in trust. These problems continued, and in April 2022, Phillips Trust went into administration. The Phillips Trust administration process has identified recently that a significant proportion of the money moved into the high-risk investment funds is in default. And in relation to potential criminal behaviour by Phillips Trust, the issue has been referred to the police. So I want to outline how the society is now responding. The society has never had a relationship with Phillips Trust Corporation or any influence over them. However, we have been monitoring the situation and have been in contact with Phillips Trust Corporation's administrators, Kroll, to understand more. And whilst the society doesn't have any legal or regulatory liability for what has ultimately happened, as a purpose-led, member-owned organisation, we are working alongside other building societies and the Building Society Association to try to understand more. This remains a very complex issue, and we are working very hard to understand more, whilst we also understand that we consider the interests of our wider membership in our decision-making, and we hope to provide further detail within the next few weeks.
Thanks, Colin. I'm just going to ask the technical team at the back whether there are any more questions that have been submitted. They're indicating that there are no more questions, in which case I will take that as that we've now come to that point where we conclude the question and answer session of the meeting. If we haven't been able to, you've been unable to submit your question today, or we've been unable to answer it, please do contact a member of the society and we'll try to give you the detailed answer you seek after the meeting. We will also, I think, try to attempt to ensure that the website has copies of the questions and answers that were submitted. I'm now going to turn to vote on the resolutions that were proposed earlier. And I think your screen should now show the resolutions that I proposed earlier. And if your screen does show that, it should also show vote now. I now declare the voting open and ask that a poll be taken on each of the resolutions before the meeting today. Members who have submitted their voting instructions using a proxy voting form ahead of this meeting do not need to vote at this meeting. Those members who have not already submitted a voting instruction and are eligible to vote and wish to do so, or who wish to change their voting instruction that they submitted ahead of the meeting, should vote in accordance with these instructions on the voting site. If you have chosen to withhold your vote in respect of any resolution, it will count as a valid vote cast, but not count as part of the votes for or against. We're now waiting for Civica to advise us that the voting is concluded. Right, so that is the voting on the end of the voting on the resolutions. and I formally declare the vote is now closed. The final votes cast at the meeting today will be counted, but because of the overwhelming number of votes already cast, where members have appointed me as the proxy, which have been received by the independent scrutineer Civica, I'm now able to declare the provisional results of the poll based on the voting instructions received as at midday today. The final voting results will be posted on the Society's website from tomorrow. Please note that for those members who gave me discretion to vote as I see fit, I've used that discretion to support the board's recommendation and voted for each resolution. To be successful, an ordinary resolution has to receive at least 1/2 of the valid votes cast. Therefore, taking into account the number of members attending the meeting and the votes already cast by proxy in favour of each resolution, all of the resolutions before the meeting will be duly passed as required by the statute and the Society's rules. The provisional results, voting results for the resolution as at midday today are as follows. 1. To receive the Director's report, the annual accounts, the annual business statement and the auditor's report thereon for the year ending 31st December 2023, for 2,430 votes, against 50, no votes withheld. Resolution 2. To reappoint BDO LLP as auditors until the conclusion of the next annual general meeting, votes cast for 2,338, against 122, no votes withheld. Resolution 3. To approve the Director's remuneration report for the year ending 31st December 2023. Votes cast for 2,106. Votes cast against 328. No votes were withheld. Re-election of directors. To consider, and if thought fit, A, to elect Geoffrey Richard Dunn as a Director of the Society for 2,293, against 142, no votes withheld. B, to elect Caroline Beati Cartelieri Carlson as a Director of the Society, votes for 2,285, against 153, withheld none. C, to elect Maurice Leighton Mills as a Director of the Society, votes cast for 2,301, votes cast against 139. No votes were withheld. D, re-elect Jennifer Ann Ashmore as a Director of the Society, votes cast for 2,280, votes cast against 170, no votes withheld. E, re-elect Colin Howard Field as a Director of the Society, votes cast for 2,272, votes cast against 166, no votes withheld. F, re-elect John William Penberthy Smith as a Director of the Society, votes cast for 2,237, votes cast against 191, no votes withheld. G, to re-elect Jasvinder Singh Sagu as a Director of the Society, votes cast for 2,233, votes cast against 210, no votes withheld. H, re-elect David Richard Rendell as a Director of the Society, votes cast for 2,253, votes cast against 177, no votes withheld. And finally, to re-elect Robin Stephen Patrick Lytton as a Director of the Society. Votes cast for 2,290, votes cast against 153, no votes withheld. So, As there is no more business, we'd like to conclude the formal business of this meeting, and we'd like to thank you once again for your continued support of the Saffron Building Society. Thank you.